Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is Local Chat, episode 144. Joining me this week, the one and only Kyle Bailey.
It's me, and as luck would have it, I'm also watching the stream at 144 hertz. What do you got to say to that? I think it's pretty cool.
Whoa. Hurts, don't it? Also joining us this week is the lovely and wonderful Jimmie.
Heyo, how y'all doing?
It's Jims.
He's here and ready to party. He's not playing Halo this time with Kyle or Star Citizen, although I see both of them on the notes
play
document.
Star Citizen, though. Earlier this week, we did.
I literally was like, oh, Jimmie's been on stuff. Let me just search our streams archive so I can remember what he was on. It's literally Halo and Star Citizen. I'm like, oh,
it was so long ago. He's just really into sci-fi. He only wants... Yeah.
My staple PC games.
Yeah, man. It was fun.
I rage at both of.
For vastly different reasons.
Yes.
Oh, God. Folks, we are here to talk about video games and all sorts of things. Ian is not with us this week. He is still with us, for those of you keeping track, but he's just not with us this week. So I've got these two lovely gentlemen here to keep me company and sane. We start off with a little chit-chat section. Someone wrote something about the MetaQuest 3.
Dude, yeah, I put that in super last minute because I was like, yo, what do I want to chit-chat about? I have been getting flooded on TikTok with videos of people using like the new AR like pass-through functions of the MetaQuest 3. Because TikTok really wants me to buy this thing.
Okay, to be fair, you did tell me, you were like, I think I want to buy it. And I think you saying that, you know how everything is listening in on you. So like, that makes sense. But yeah, I haven't been on TikTok, but I've actually heard, I think Skill Up on YouTube was talking about this. And it's basically like, this is not new technology, but for some reason it just feels better with the MetaQuest 3 apparently. And you just have like tech bros living their lives through their MetaQuest 3, like in all of our nightmares. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've been watching people like navigate their apartment buildings, just wearing wearing the visor, going like in elevators and stuff like that. Like, yo, you guys are crazy for this, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, I think I sent in the Discord today. Someone was playing Mario, the original Mario, on their whatever you call it. With the coffee table, there we go, that's the word. Playing Mario on their coffee table through like the AR lenses on that.
See, that's cool.
And then Ian commented that someone else was doing that with the original Zelda, but it was top down, so you were looking down at your coffee table and like.
Okay, I had not seen this until you just mentioned it, and this is actually pretty dope. Just the fact that it's 3D in front of you, is pretty awesome.
It's funny. It reminded me. I have a program on Steam that if you supply ROMs, it does this for NES. I think it's just NES games. It does the separation, so you can do 3D NES games. But this takes it obviously to the next level where it's out in the world in front of you, that's
wild. I didn't know there was a program that did that. It can make it's essentially like 2.5D.
Yeah. So it's called 3D Sen. 3-letter D SEN, and I actually want to say it was free. But yeah, you literally load up like a NES ROM file, and it like extrapolates it out while you're playing it. It's like really neat.
So like if we eventually get to the point of not having a whole headset, but just having sort of AR glasses, which I know is something Google has been working on and Apple have been working on, but obviously it's very far out from being like plausible or not having like the super freaking bulky glasses. Mm-hmm. This would be ideal for me. Like this would be what would get me to buy that. But I don't know, like the headset it's still like this chunky headset. I just feel like we're not quite there. I'm glad that we seem to be getting like lighter and smaller and hopefully cheaper. Because I think like the MetaQuest 3 is still, it's $500. Like that's a PS5 essentially, or an Xbox Series X, and I don't know. I feel like 250, 300 is like the sweet spot for like VR stuff. so long as you don't need like light boxes or anything additional to capture it, like the index or anything. But I want to get there. I want to get to that point where it's like you can really market it to mass market people, and they'll actually buy into it. But not there yet.
I want it so all my friends have it, so we can play laser tag in our houses in VR.
I was terrified when you like put it on and it scans your apartment and then makes a horror game in your apartment. Like that
sounds like Black Mirror. Yeah.
And that would just be terrifying because I would end up being scared of my own apartment.
I visor off.
I showed that episode to my dad because he'd never really seen Black Mirror before, and he was like, "That was interesting, but there was way too much cursing." And I was like, "Do you like aliens? Like, are you kidding me? Like that? Like, oh my gosh, I can't.
I remember showing Alien. A friend, one of the guys who was a pastor at the church I went to growing up, was like a huge movie buff, and I was a movie buff growing up, and so I was like, "Oh, let's watch Alien." We watched Alien, and it got to the point where at the very end, Ripley's like just in her underwear. He's just like, oh, why did Mr. Scott choose to just put her in the underwear? It's very sexualized. I was like, she was getting ready for hypersleep. Like, what do you want?
And it's also putting her at literally her most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like when you're basically naked against an alien in an enclosed environment, that's like worst case scenario for most people. Like at least you have clothes on. You're like, well, at least I have clothes on. Like at least I'm not naked.
It's like stop complaining and pray for her. Make sure she's good. Safe.
They already filmed this. Nothing's gonna change about.
God can change it, Kyle.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, Ridley Scott's like, you know what? I'm gonna do a 5th director's cut, and we're gonna reshoot some stuff. No, I actually showed my dad Tropic Thunder, which has way more cursing than that episode of Black Mirror, and my dad was like laughing the whole time, and I was like, "What? I don't get it. Like, what's your threshold? Like, is it just because you don't like Wyatt Russell? Like, what's the difference here?"
Nobody likes Riot Russell.
I
just called him Riot Russell.
That's what his dad calls him. I don't know.
When he does baby talk.
Widow
Russell.
The entire set of that Godzilla TV show on Apple. It was just Riot.
Watch out for Godzilla.
Oh, he's gonna stop us San Francisco. Oh boy.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Oh man. Wow, we got really far off topic.
Yeah, that was a great tangent though.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Speaking of tangents, let's move on. Let's write this railway. Jimmie, I want to hear from you first, because you're lovely.
Yeah.
Please tell me all about the games you've been playing this week.
Dude, yeah, so I've been all over the place this past week. I even have been playing a few things I didn't list in there because I was like, my list is getting too long. But yeah, man, I mean, Final Fantasy 14 is like the MMO Final Fantasy. Lots of people love it. Rivals, what's the I'm blanking.
World of Warcraft?
It's actually
Warcraft, yeah.
It's a shame Ian's not here because he loves this game. He genuinely is a fan of Final Fantasy.
I'm gonna have to add him because I have like a handful of IRL friends I play with, but like besides that, I don't really talk to people in game. But yeah, they just put out a new patch, so a lot of people have been coming back. They added in a new season for the PvP, which is like a pretty niche part of the game, but I like it because it's just chilling, button mashing, and you get rewards like pretty consistently. And I'm very into like tech wear, like future wear fashion, and all of the cosmetics for this season of the PvP is that. So now I can dress up my little Final Fantasy character and cool stuff. That was my motivation to come back to start playing it again. I was like, well, gotta give my character drip, you know.
We did a brief when we did Server Quest. We played it for a couple weeks, and
cool.
Everyone made fun of me because all I did was mine and do the jobs and everything, and not the main story quest. And I was like, that's the only way I play MMOs. Like, I love doing that
stuff
shit.
Is like so chill. And
I know.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then I think Ian played it a little bit longer because he was doing like main story stuff. And then the only time I went back to it is they released those Dragon Quest item quests, and I was like, I had just played Dragon Quest 7 or 8 on the DS, and I was like, let me go get this. So I literally reinstalled the game, got that stuff, exited the game, and uninstalled it.
Oh my goodness!
The kicker is, all of my friends and everyone I know who played that all paid for their accounts, and I stayed on a trial account. So I still have a trial account that I can go back to and not have to pay the next time.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, the trial accounts top out I think at like level 60, and I got past that, so I'm not allowed to be like on a trial account anymore. I have to pay for it every month. You know, I put it into my gaming budget. So
I told myself, I said, I'm absolutely not paying until I get to that point, because I will pay right now and I will never get to that point, and I'll be like, shit, I will never like recoup my.
And you'll be like, I have to play this for the rest of my life because I'm paying for it every month. So
exactly, a nightmare scenario.
I've never touched this game. I think when was it? Endwalker, was that one of like the expansions or something like that?
Yeah, that's like the most recent.
When that came out, I like tried to get an account because there was some sort of like weird limiting thing where they were like they weren't letting like a ton of people in, and I couldn't get in. And Ian had talked about it on an earlier local chat, probably around like the 60s or 70s in episode number, and he talked about how good like the base game was and how much you basically could play through it without paying. And he was like, this is like an entire experience for free that's actually good quality. And I always remembered him saying that, and I always kind of meant to get into it. But it's the same thing that I feel like with anything, like any big MMO, where it's like, I just missed the like jumping on point where like no one wants to play with someone who's like, oh, he's like a level 1 and we're like a level 90. Like we have to like baby him through the entire thing. And that's where I am with Destiny, because like Jake will write his fan fiction about Destiny, and it's got all these nouns and names that like don't make any sense, and I'm like, this is not fun to just be around. Like I'm sorry, but like I'm glad people like it, or some people like it, but I need an MMO to jump onto that gets popular and stays like active, because I feel like I would pick up, like we tried, was it New World, or what was the MMO we played? It might have been New World.
Yeah, the Amazon one.
Yeah, and we played it for like a couple, I feel like 2-3 weeks, and that player base just dropped off. I mean, it was pretty rough, and I know they're doing an expansion for it now, so I'm sure there's some people still playing, but yeah, I want something on the level of like a WoW back in the day, to come out and really have a big impact and hold, you know, the audience attention or player attention, but I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I would be interested to see like a new WoW or something like that. Final Fantasy 14, I would say if you were gonna go pick something, I would do Final Fantasy 14, because like the leveling stuff, I believe most stuff scales, so even if you're with friends who are larger level, they can take you through stuff. And then I just found it very user friendly and like for like beginner friendly, especially. There are so many tutorials, and like when you don't know what to do, just do the main story quest, do whatever like is fun for you. And then it being free too, like you were saying, they around certain points, I know they turn off the free trials because they want the server space for the people who pay, and then they turn those free trials back on and blah blah blah. And they're very transparent about that, so like it's really neat that they even offer that at all. And like I said, I think I have like 50 or 60 hours in it, and again, trial account, never paid a single cent.
Awesome.
So
cool.
If you're ever feeling that itch, I think you should definitely check it out. I would hop back in if you checked it out.
I might check it out. I mean, Jimmie, if you're playing, maybe I'll hop on with you, and maybe Will can hop on too, and we can do a little streamsy.
Hell yeah.
Dude. That's been like the most, like the best like interactions with strangers has been on Final Fantasy 14. Everyone's like so nice in that game.
Like a friendly, a good community.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And they're very like helpful with stuff. So like even if you're in a like dungeon with people, like people notice if you're not doing something, be like, hey man, this is what you're supposed to be doing, blah blah, like not passive aggressive about it or anything. So
you're not supposed to be typing curse words into the chat and just spamming.
Dude, could you put your clothes back on? It's really weird.
Jimmie, I want to hear more about the next game on your list, because we played this game when it originally came out, and I have not touched it since. So tell me what's going on with it.
Yeah, so I still haven't put more than like maybe 3 hours into it. I got it because it was on sale and it had been on my wish list for a bit, and they announced that they like reworked the character like class system. So I was like,
And
well,
so
it seems like a good point to jump in.
this is Warhammer Darktide for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anyone who can't see our private list.
I forgot that no one can see the list that's in front of me. Yeah, I'm talking about Warhammer Darktide. I've never played Warhammer before. I'd never played the tabletop game or anything, but I know a little bit of like the universe. And I have some friends who have played Darktide, and I was like, well, all right, let me check it out. It is a very hard game without being
Really?
able to. And like, I think it'd be good if you're on mic with like 3 other friends and you can coordinate. But as far as like matchmaking with other like beginner players, I finished maybe like 50% of my matches, and then all the other ones like we lose because we all die.
Yeah.
It's very, very heavy horde mode, constantly like doing the next objective while getting like swarmed with monsters and not having the best weapons yet. Or like knowing how your abilities work. Like I started out with the veteran who's like your standard like shoot kind of guy. I was like,
Mhm.
all right, I want to try something different. So I switched to I think it was the it's like their witch class or something. Like you do like arcane arts and things like that. You can like blow people's heads up with magic. And I was like, that's sick.
Hell yeah.
Only to find out if you use too much of the magic, you kill yourself. And I was
What?
like, all right. So, it's a learning curve, but it's a cool game. I've been in kind of checking it out. It's still like a back burner one. Like I kind of go to it if I'm like not doing anything else, but
Yeah.
pretty neat.
I remember really liking when we played like the production design, all the architecture, that sort of super futuristic gothic religious like
Mm-hmm.
architecture, the type of buildings that you were going through and like you could see in the distance. It was cool. Obviously very like dark, but yeah, I do remember it being very difficult. Like we beat the first like two missions. You get to the hub or whatever, and you like can load up and change stuff about your character, and then you start doing missions. And I think it was like the third or fourth mission that we did, we got like demolished, and we were like, we're gonna end the stream here because this was rough. So
Yeah, it's a tough game. I really liked Warhammer Vermintide, which was
Yes.
the regular Warhammer Fantasy version, and
I
then
played that.
Darktide was good, but again, like it was super difficult. And I also I don't like the fact that you need 3 other people to always play it, and like Jimmie, you were saying, have the communication. Like either tone it down when you're not on the communication, or like let me play single player and be like extra strong or something like that. But yeah, I would recommend for Jimmie, if you want more of that Warhammer goodness, similar vibes, is the Bolt Gun Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun game. It is essentially like Doom level graphics with sprites and stuff, but you're just like I think you're an Imperator or something, and you're just like going through throwing guys and blowing them up and everything.
That sounds awesome. Power fantasy right there.
Yeah,
you
hell
go.
yeah. Like it's got that good grim dark feel, which I love about. That is like honestly the coolest thing about 40k is all that hyper religious tech stuff.
It's a cool combination. I've never gotten into it, but Henry Cavill's into it, so maybe I'll get into it and hopefully play with him.
Lots of hot
someday.
guys are into it.
Yeah,
Kyle.
lots of hot guys. That's
For some reason.
That's why I go to the cons. I don't even like it. I just go to look at the guys.
You can get lost on the wiki page. I was like, oh, let me read about the Emperor, and then you're just like reading about how his throne keeps him alive, and they have to sacrifice millions of people every day in order to give him enough power. And then you get to the point where they're like,
Dune.
They're like, did you know Jesus was the emperor? And you're like, excuse me? And then
what?
It just like goes on all this stuff. And you're like, man, I should get really into 40k. And then that's where your life falls apart. So
Just massive amounts of world building. That's cool.
yeah, it's neat. It's fun. I recently learned, sorry, not to stay on the Warhammer tangent. I recently was confused because I didn't know if Warhammer and Warhammer 40k were connected. And the answer I got was they're not directly connected, because I assumed Warhammer was the past and Warhammer 40k was the future. But basically what people have come to determine is 40k or Warhammer is somewhere in the 40k universe. It's like either a planet or another dimension in the 40k universe, but it's not the past of the 40k universe, if that makes sense. So like one day the
super
Space Marines could
confusing.
find a planet where Warhammer is happening because it's just on one planet. And
Okay.
then I was like, it'd be really cool just like you start a Warhammer 40K game and they're like, yeah, we found this planet, and you're just like studying the 40, like almost like a RTS where you're like
that's cool.
studying the Warhammer people fighting and everything. I don't know. That's just where my mind went.
Giving like field notes on everything. Like,
Yeah.
This is what these races are doing on this planet. Yeah.
And you have to go down like Star Trek style and like blend in, and you got your tricorder and stuff.
Dude, I always thought a Prime Directive story would be really cool for like a video game.
Yeah.
Like that has like so many opportunities for like emergent gameplay and like stealth stuff, but also like I don't know, you'd have to use it could be like Hitman-esque. Obviously not exactly like Hitman, but like you have to disguise yourself, blend in. There's so many good stories in Star Trek with something like that happening where like Riker, I forget which episode it is. It's in one of the later seasons, but Riker gets found out on a planet that's about to develop warp drive, which is like the threshold for joining the Federation. And they're like, you are not one of us. Like you do, like your hands are all weird, and like he's wearing like makeup and prosthetics and everything, and he's like, oh, I've had prosthetic surgery to look this way. And like it causes this whole thing where like the entire planet is like freaking out that they've been invaded by aliens, and Picard has to come down and like explain to the president of the planet or whatever, like, hey, this wasn't supposed to happen, but like, sorry, like if you're ready to like join, we can kind of negotiate stuff. And I don't, it was a really cool episode. So stuff like that always gets my like storytelling part of my mind going for like, oh, this would be really cool for a video game. So whoever owns the Star Trek rights, Paramount or whatever, they need to focus on that.
I
Stop
don't
making
know.
MMOs. Make a cool single player game.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Kyle, I don't know. I don't think you were on the episode or listened to it, because why would you? But the Starfield episode with Jake.
I don't listen to our own stuff. Are you kidding me? Wait, you did an episode of Star Citizen with Jake without me?
Starfield.
Oh, Starfield. Sorry.
Honestly, might be the worst of the star-based video games. I was saying Starfield feels like ripe for a Star Trek mod, where you go to the boring planets and the weird planets and stuff like that. So I think you need to call up some modders and say, hey, finish up those nude mods, and then let's work on the Star Trek mod.
Dude.
And then incorporate those into the Star Trek mod.
100%.
And then, yeah.
I mean, someone made a Mando mod for it already. Did you guys see that?
I did see that.
A nude Mando? Really? It's just
Maybe,
Pedro.
I don't know.
On.
It's just the helmet doesn't come off, all right?
I want to kiss you, though. I mean, what?
Everywhere but the face.
Everywhere but the face. Makes cleanup easier. Speaking of Star Citizen, how is Star Citizen? How is my $100 I think I gave them 10 years ago?
It ends my gaming session every time I try to play it. It's so when it runs, it's great. But the past couple of days I've been trying to play, and like I don't know. I was trying to play yesterday, and my guns didn't work on any of my ships, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm not playing this game tonight."
So here's the issue that everyone who plays this game, if you can call it that, you can. It's a video game. It's not.
It's a game.
It's not a made video game. The issue is they have all these events that go on throughout the year. So anytime one of those events happens, for the most part, they're hoping to sell ships and get people to buy like licenses for the game so that they can get locked in. So when that happens, you get a ton of people clogging up the servers that are nowhere near ready for the amount of people trying to access them. And there's this whole thing where they have been, CIG, who's the company that develops Star Citizen, has been on like a rampant hiring spree for developers. They have a brand new office in Wilfredshire, I think, in England, and they've literally been hiring like hundreds and hundreds of developers over the past year. And it's all to try and finish what is supposed to be the single player version of Star Citizen, which is Squadron 42 with Mark Hamill and Henry Cavill and like a million other actors who have Gary Oldman is in it. What's her name? From X-Files.
Oh, Gillian Anderson?
Gillian Anderson's in it. None of these actors remember that they've even recorded stuff for this game at this point because it's been like 10 years.
They're gonna be
And
AI.
they're pumping a ton of resources into finishing Squadron 42, which means the Star Citizen PU, the persistent universe that everyone can play right now, has like 10% of their workforce focusing on it. So like it's very much on the back burner. They're really focusing on Squadron 42. Who knows if that's actually going to get made? So like every time they release a patch for the persistent universe, it's like, oh hey, we added like these ships, and you can kind of do like scrapping. Like you can go up to a derelict ship and use like a gun to scrap the metal and then sell that. And then like it doesn't work for like 3 months, and then they patch it and it still doesn't work. And that patch
But it
breaks
works for
other
some
stuff
people.
and like yeah. And the best time to play Star Citizen or to play the alpha is when there's not an event on, because that's the least amount of people clogging the servers. And it's literally each server holds, is it, Jimmie, is it 50 people?
Yeah,
It's
capped at around
yeah,
50.
it used to be like 25, and now it's
Yeah.
50, and everyone was like, "Oh, wow, 50 people." And if you can get a server with like 20 people or like 25 people, the enemy AI is way better. Like they're smarter because the resources for the server can go into actually making them function properly. Stuff tends not to break, like Jimmie's guns like wouldn't work. I've had stuff where like, and we when we played this earlier this week, Jimmie and I both in the same server at different parts of the galaxy that we were in exited our hangars and then immediately blew up because even though the doors had opened, they hadn't really opened on the server. So like stuff like that just happens, and it's just it's not fun, except for when it does work, it is actually fun.
So
And like
fun.
it's like that type of kind of emergent gameplay where you can kind of be like, let's just go to this planet and see what we can do, what kind of missions they have. When it works, it's actually really engaging and it's a lot of fun. And I mean, I had to upgrade my computer recently, and like it runs, I'm getting like 60, 70, 80 frames per second in some of the sections of this game. And it's like, if you can get to that point, it is functioning. It does work. You can go anywhere between like what is it? There's like 30 different planets right now, like with moons and stuff like that, like counting that. So it is kind of fun, but it's still broken. And
Hmm.
the amount of time that it's fun is about 15%, and then the other 85% is screaming at like your server connection because it just crashes, or like it's working for me, why isn't it working for you? Like
Mhm.
I don't get it, and it's frustrating, but
It's got
you
a lot
know,
of good, like, immersion factor to it, but sometimes the immersion, it's like, man, I really wish I didn't have to take 10 minutes to walk from my habitat to the spaceport so I could get in my
yeah.
ship for my ship to explode as soon as I get in it.
And
Yeah.
they have so many things that they've implemented in like the past 2 years where it's like, oh, there's a downed system where like if you get shot in the leg, you'll be incapacitated, but you can heal yourself, or you can have someone come and heal you, and like you have a certain time limit. So that's fun, but those systems that they implement don't work half the time. So it just increases the frustration. And the thing that they can always fall back on is this is a beta test. Like there's technically an alpha test. So like we're putting this stuff in here so that we can test how you guys react to it and make changes accordingly. But it's like, fix the fact that whenever I jump out of my spaceship, I flip upside down 5 times, or like I fall through the ground on a planet like 90% of the time that I'm just walking. Like, fix that stuff first. Make sure that that's like pretty solid. Like, the ground should be solid. Like, you should not be falling through the ground. And like, they just don't. So that's kind of frustrating, but
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
spiel on Star
But
Citizen.
but we still play it.
We still play
So, you know,
because we're
that's
fucking
something.
stupid, because we're idiots, and I've sunk like $300 in at this point.
Ugh.
Yeah,
I think
it's ridiculous.
I think my brother and I both did $100, and he kept wanting to do the 150 for like the constellation thing.
Yeah,
or
the Connie.
Yeah, and I was like, no, we're not doing it. And then I remember the day when they switched from, because remember you could only go to your hangar for a while, like you could go into the hangar and look at your ships and stuff, and then they switched on the like flying around that one space station or something,
Orson, which is now gone. They got rid of Port Olisar. Yeah.
So I remember my brother and I loaded in. He got in the spaceship. I stood next to it. He took off, and only him took off and flew away. And the spaceship stayed
just
there.
his body going.
I was just like,
yeah,
that's Star Citizen, baby. I'm so glad to see it. It hasn't improved at all since then.
So I will say one thing. This week, it might have already happened already, but this week is CitizenCon, which is their yearly convention. For the past 3 years, it's been virtual because of COVID and stuff. So I think this is the first time that they're doing physical in LA, I think. And supposedly we're gonna get some updates on where Squadron 42 is. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I will say is that by and large, the developers are very transparent about like, if you ask, they have opportunities for users and players to ask questions, and by and large, they'll give like long detailed answers of like, here's how this is functioning, here's how we're approaching this problem, or like, this is not on our radar right now, or we're working on this. And from what they've said, I think this should be like the beginning of like the ramp up for Squadron 42. Like they've just the fact that I think they've hired like 600 people to work on Squadron 42. So like or they're aiming for 600 or 700. So we should get something. And I mean, they've been working on it for 11 years and a couple hours by my count. Right. So yeah.
I bought my first ship back in 2015. So.
Oh my gosh.
Damn. I need to, you're making me want to, I guess, check my Gmail to see.
So I don't think I ever backed it on Kickstarter. Like I never.
I wasn't a Kickstarter backer for sure. I only found out about it after like it had, the Arena Commander had launched and you could play in there.
Which I've never touched.
It's cool. It's like, I don't know. Actually, that one's
just dogfighting, right?
Yeah, it's dogfighting.
Yeah.
Good way to test out ships.
Yeah.
But anyways,
did you
I'll
find
see
it
if I
yet?
can. I don't have anything in my email, but I realized I did this a while ago, and I can just check my account on RSI.
Yeah. Well, and I will say the one good thing about buying ships in this game is you can sell them back right now. If you're not happy with it, you could just sell it back and they'll give you your money back. Mm-hmm. But they're counting on people not doing that. So
well, I think that they give it back to as credit. Like
no, I think you can get it actual like chargeback to your payment method.
That's
if
pretty
you if you fight them on it, like they don't want to, but like they will. Like they're legally obligated to, I think. Don't quote me on that.
Legal, yeah.
There is also like there's a resale market as well.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of sketchy, but yeah, you can like sell ships to other players. It's just not official, like not officially supported.
I'm so close.
I stay away from that. I'm not trying to get scammed.
Is it? I don't know where it's gonna say it. Is it gonna be in my hangar? Is that where it's gonna say it?
Yeah, it'll be in your hangar.
Okay. Oh man. Scroll. Oh, it's. I got so much shit in my hangar. September 1st, 2013.
Wow.
It is when I got the 15 million reward.
For when they hit 15 million.
Yeah. So I don't know if that must be the day I did it, because I have the 15, 16, and 17 million reward on the 1st.
Wow.
That must be the
all right, Jimmie. They might have they must have updated their whatever, because it is saying what you said, Jimmie. It is giving you store credit. But then if you do that, you can instead of doing that, you can sell your ships on like the black market. Yeah. So
it's literally 10 years. Literally 10 years and a month and 18 days since I bought into it.
It's wild.
If you had told me when I went to buy it that it would be 10 years, 1 month and 18 days, and it still wasn't done, I would have not bought into
not
it.
Believed you.
Would not have done that, yeah.
But also, Jimmie, you're right. I would not have believed myself. And I would have said, fuck you, old man. I'm going to play this next week.
It's going to come out. You don't know anything.
He would never lie to me.
Jimmie, let's knock these last two out on your list.
Yeah. So Monster Hunter now, that is like the new sort of like Pokemon Go style game. It's made by the same people who did Pokemon Go, Niantic, but it's also made by Capcom. So it's got Capcom like polish, I guess, is the best way to put it. I really enjoy the Monster Hunter games. I got into Monster Hunter with Monster Hunter World, like a lot of people, because I tried it back on like the 3DS and stuff like that. It just didn't click. But World clicked, and now Monster Hunter now you play it on your phone. You walk around, your city, your town, wherever. You can actually see the monsters on the map, so you can like be like, I'm gonna go get that monster that's like a mile that way, and walk towards it. And it's fun. It's simplified. Tap to attack, swipe to dodge. It's all pretty quick, like real time. Not so much like how Pokemon Go's battles, where you're kind of just like spamming, clicking as fast as you can. And you can hunt with like three of your friends who like they show up on that map with you. So it's a pretty cool game. So like me and one of my buddies around here, we'll just go like walk around at night and hunt monsters for like 2 hours. And then what's the last one I have on the list here? Oh no, I got rid of my doc. I
Halo
think
Infinite.
it was Halo Infinite. Yeah. So they just released a new season. And I forgot with Halo Infinite, when you buy a season, you own it like forever. It's not like, Fortnite where after the season ends, you can't unlock stuff from that season anymore. So I was like, cool, I'll buy this season because it has like flood style cosmetics to your armor. And it's been a good at least 6 months since I played Infinite. And hopping right into the multiplayer, it feels a lot better tuned. Like I'm actually hitting my shots, as before like I couldn't hit a single shot ever, and I was like, I know I'm not this bad at games. So that's been kind of fun getting back into that. They have Forge now. I haven't tried that out, but people have been making like crazy maps. I saw, uh, you could fight in like McDonald's or something. And I was like, that's awesome.
I love
Slayer in
McDonald's.
McDonald's. Right? Yeah.
I'll fight
But
there.
yeah, that's my games I've been playing.
Nice. I was gonna say I was just spent a minute looking it up. If you I liked Monster Hunter World, even though I didn't beat it. But the game Wild Hearts by I think Square Enix.
Okay.
I bought it and I made it like 7 or 8 to 10 hours into it. 11 hours and 36 minutes actually it's telling me just in. And it is essentially Monster Hunter World, but just a different universe and story.
Sort of like build structures to help you fight.
Yeah,
right?
you like launch off of stuff and you're like
Yeah.
it's like these threads and everything. It's super fun. I was having a blast with it. So if
Yeah, it
you're
looked pretty cool.
in the mood for more of that style, I highly recommend it.
What if I'm in the mood for love?
In the mood for love, then you want to play a game based on a certain hell-based property, Kyle.
Oh, we're doing that now. Okay, great. Sorry, that was a Warkong Y reference for his wonderful movie In the Mood for Love, which you should all go watch. It's great.
I'm always in the mood.
Get it on the Criterion Collection. It's awesome. Yes, so I did not know this game existed until about 3 days ago, and then realized yesterday that it was coming out today. So bought it today, and I played about an hour of it. This is Hellboy: Web of the Word. It is. Have there been many other Hellboy games? I can't remember. I think there were a couple, maybe like a movie tie-in game or something like that.
I want to say this is the first Hellboy art style game.
Yeah, this is extremely evocative of Mike Mignola's work. It is very it honestly it holds up really well in a video game, and it looks so good when compared to like it's very evocative of the comics that Mike Mignola does. It's very expressionistic, a little bit of like Jack Kirby thrown in there. Very like kind of cartoon gothic religious overtones, and it's great. It plays fairly well. I had it crash once and then it hung for a little bit, and so I think they do still need to patch it. I can't remember exactly. The developers might have said that the PC performance was like a little wonky and they're working on it. But it's a roguelike brawler sort of deal, third person. It is if you've seen the movies, which I've only seen bits and pieces of the movies, which I know is crazy because it's Guillermo del Toro and I love Guillermo del Toro.
Wow.
It's a little bit different from those. It's what's his name? Lance Reddick is the voice of Hellboy, which rip Lance Reddick, but I think it fits the character really well. It's not Ron Perlman like levels of like that gravelly like war never changes or Hellboy never changes or something. But it's a different take on the character a little bit, more akin to the comics, which I think Lance Reddick is very well suited for, and it's great hearing him. It's all sort of the cinematics are kind of think not exactly as crazy as Ang Lee's Hulk, but like very evocative of like here, this is a comic strip. We're slicing down here. We're kind of it's like the characters stay still, but it's 3D and the camera kind of pans. So there's no mouth movements, but the voiceover comes through really well. And so far the story is pretty good. I mean I dig it. It seems from the progression that you can kind of see in the hub of like, hey, we need to get these things. It's not a super long game, but it is also only $20 right now. I think I got it for like 19 bucks or something on Steam. I I like it a lot already. It's not perfect. The combat's a little wonky and there obviously is like a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm having a good time. The music's cool, the world is cool. All these different levels that you can go down have different art environments that are very colorful, very dark, sort of overtones, but it plays well. Other than those two crashes, it runs really great. It's there's actually no graphic settings other than your resolution. So like
Oh
it's
wow.
very sort of trimmed down. Like it should run on most systems fairly well. And I think for consoles it probably is rock solid. And for PC, just because there's the variance of tech you can have, they're working on that. But I've been having a really good time. So it's not game of the year material, but it's like a fun kind of like double A developer sort of game that it feels solid. It feels like they put a lot of work and love into it. So I'm excited to play more.
Yeah, I really want to play that. I remember, I think they only announced it in Summer Games Fest,
Yeah.
maybe. And I really dig how closely they were sticking to like the comic art style.
Yeah.
I've had the first trade paperback of Hellboy for like years, and I still haven't
Nice.
read it. And
What?
I need to. I
Dang.
need to because I haven't read comics in a bit. But
Yeah.
it looks really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
I saw it pop up in the Switch store last night when I was like scrolling through that, and I assumed it was a port. So and
Mm-mm.
I had no clue it was a new game. I just checked out the art style for it. It looks really cool.
Switch actually sounds like the right way to play it, if I'm honest. It's
Probably,
like
yeah.
that type
Pick
of
up,
like
put
game
down.
where you sink 20, 30 minutes into a round and then you go back to the hub and it's like, okay, well we progressed this far. Um and it's fun. Like I'm having a good time with it, even just in the hour that I played. But definitely recommend it so far. And I'm just gonna go through these really quick because I know we're wasting a lot of not wasting a lot of time, but we've used up a lot of time.
Mhm.
Uh, Based on Sir William's recommendation last week,
Hell yeah.
RoboCop Rogue City, which is a demo of a supposedly big game that's coming out. I don't know how expansive it's going to be, but this demo is 90 minutes. It's like an hour and a half plus of content. And I was fully expecting from back in the day, demos tended to be like 15 to 20 minutes. I remember the Batman Arkham Knight, or sorry, Batman Arkham Asylum, the first Batman game. That demo was just literally the first 20 minutes. And I played the hell out of that demo. So I was fully expecting the RoboCop Rogue City demo to end at the I mean this is not a spoiler because it might not even be in the final game, but the skyscraper sort of assault that you have to partake in. I was like, oh okay, we did the thing at the end at the very top, like we're done. And it even comes up with a really janky like JPEG image of the logo that zooms in, and it's like you can see like the JPEGiness as it zooms in, and
Yeah.
then it sort of like comes through the camera and it reveals the city, and then it just kept going, and I was like, oh, I guess there's another cutscene, and then it kept going and it kept going, and then it's like, oh, I'm playing again, and then it's like here's like three or four city blocks for you to just play around in. And there's like missions that you can do. Some of them are small, some of them are like solid, like 15-minute sections. And I was like, I feel bad. Like I feel like I'm stealing from them. Like they're just giving me so much to play around with. But it ran great on my computer. It looks fantastic. Like it looks really good.
Yeah.
And they have put so much work into bringing the feel and environment from the movie. And I think they're pulling from multiple movies at this point, but like it looks like the movies, and it has those sort of really over the top 1980s like kind of grunge punk aesthetic all over the place. And then you have just like the animation for RoboCop is great. I think it's the original actor,
Peter Weller
doing the voice, right? Yeah, Peter Weller. And it's awesome. And they even managed to get in a demo some like emotionality thrown into his character, and it just feels really well done. Again, I think from like another like a AA studio. I had never heard of them before. It's Iron something. I can't remember like who makes
I don't
it.
remember.
But really fun, a generous demo for them to put out, and a really cool experience. If you like RoboCop, or if you just want a cool experience from like a group of people who clearly love this franchise that has had its ups and downs to say the least, I think Paul Verhoeven would be proud, and or you know we'll see what happens.
Satisfied.
But, yeah.
Um,
Satisfied. Yeah.
Question: You've seen RoboCop?
I've seen the first one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure because I remember Extra Life last year. Neither of us had seen Starship Troopers, and I was hoping you hadn't seen it because then I could bring it to this year's Extra Life.
No, I watched it because I think when this game was announced, I was like, well, I gotta watch it now. So I just watched it.
Starship
I had
Troopers.
seen. Oh, dude, we watched Starship Troopers after Extra Life last year at Ian's house, and it was great.
So good.
It was so good. And
The way they have managed to make a good RoboCop game is wild. They haven't managed to make a good Starship Troopers game. I hope this company makes one after
Helldivers
this.
2.
that'd be great.
There's plenty of good Starship Troopers games that don't have the Starship Trooper branding, but I just want one that can nail the like the
tongue-in-cheek kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Isn't there one coming out? Aren't they working on a Starship Troopers game?
It's out.
Or did it come out?
I think it came out.
It's all right. But Helldivers 2 is kind of the one that people are like, this is more.
Oh yeah, Extermination.
Yeah. The problem with Starship Troopers games, it's always like defend against the aliens. It's none of the other stuff in Starship Troopers.
It's not like the story of Starship Troopers.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
And then I'll just knock out these last two because we already talked about Star Citizen. Baldur's Gate, I jumped back in. I still have issues with this game. I know everyone has sung its praises, and I do think that parts of the game are very praiseworthy. I think other parts of the game are actually, I'm not enjoying it as much as I had hoped. So I'm still in like Act 2, and I'm dealing with like Ketherick. I think that's his name. The J.K. Simmons character that he voiced. I'm like wrapping up that part. I think his name's Ketherick or something. He's like the evil general at the beginning. And I'm looking forward to getting into Act 3, but at the same time, it's still like, it feels like a little bit more of a chore than I want it to playing through it. But maybe that'll change. It hasn't, the last time I played it, it didn't crash. The first time I played it, like the first like week or two that it was out, I had more crashes playing Baldur's Gate than I've ever had any other game I've ever played. It was wild, and that definitely hurt my view of the game and my perspective of like how the player is supposed to manage certain things when it just keeps crashing. So I will say that it is held up technologically a lot better since I jumped back into it, but it's still like in the back of my mind, like that wasn't a great experience. And then Sekiro is, I'm still trying to barrel through that. It's still really hard, but it's a lot of fun. It's more FromSoft goodness that I never got back to playing in the back in the day. So jump back in, and it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, so that's what I played this week, basically.
Nice. I love it. I'll go through mine quick. Mountain Blade 2 Warband. Bannerlord, I've been playing. I picked back up. I was literally sitting on the computer. I was like, I just need a game that I don't need to learn how to play. I already know how to play, and I just want to play it. So I picked up, I was like, oh, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord. I wonder if that has like since gotten better since it first came out. So I checked like recent Steam reviews, and they were all very positive. So I was like, oh, great. So I loaded it up, and I'm playing the shit out of Mountain Blade Bannerlord. I don't know if either of you know Mountain Blade very well. You are, for people who don't know, you are a man, a person, a woman, a thing, a human being. You're one character, and you are, if you follow the story, like your parents were murdered, you're with your brother, you're escaping anyways. But the crux of Mountain Blade games, you are the one guy. You can go around recruiting people. You can build yourself up in the eyes of the nobles of the land. You can work for different kingdoms. You can create your own kingdom. You can go to war with people. You can trade caravans. You can buy breweries, all this sort of stuff. So I've been playing that. I am currently a lord, part of the Vlandian kingdom. We're currently on a 3-front war, which is great. We went to war with the Western Empire, and we're pretty close to wiping them out. And then the king decided to go to war with the Sturgians, and I was like, okay, they're kind of next to them. We can hold them off a little bit. That's fine. And then I believe the Northern Empire has now just declared war on us, and they came in and annihilated the army I was part of. And so I was held captive for a while, but I escaped, and I'm back at my own castle. There was a brief moment there where I like really impressed the king, and he was gifting me castle after castle. And I was just like, bro, I cannot deal with this, because every castle...
How am I going to pay the mortgage on this thing?
Yeah, and also on these castles, they're all on the border of the conflict. So I can't be at every single castle and village to defend them. So I like gave 2 of them away. And now the one castle I have and 2 villages, there's a tiny little strip of land connecting to the Western Empire that I defend. And then the other city, the like big city I own, is a little bit further away. So now I own a brewery, and I got to set up some trade caravans, but I'm rolling in it. I got troops, I got loyalty. I can still offer up my hand in marriage. So I gotta see if the king's daughter, if he has any daughters, and if they're of age, I should probably marry them and kind of secure my path.
What if he's only got sons? What are you gonna do then?
I'm gonna write to the developers to consider adding homosexuality to a feudal medieval game, please.
There's probably a mod out there,
as it should be. So can you just? I'm familiar with the franchise, but I've never played. I think I played like Mountain Blade 1 or something like that, and it was like an RTS almost, like it was like top-down isometric kind of thing.
So yeah. Oh, sorry. Finish. You finish.
Well, no, I was going to say what kind of game is this for people who aren't familiar? Because I believe there's like a third-person aspect to it, but you said it's also kind of like a strategy sort of thing. So just explain it.
Yeah. So, man, Heroes of Might and Magic. No, I'm not going to go there. But basically, there's a giant map that you're on, huge map of the continent. You are the one little horse guy who rides around on the map. As you get better at scouting and stuff, you'll see arrows on the map showing you where other people are. You only have a certain visibility. You have speed, which is calculated by like how fast your men are moving, how many horses you have with you, how much stuff you're carrying, all that sort of thing. And then everyone else is every army and group of people is a single thing on the map moving around. And then when you fight battles or go into towns, you go third person. So if I want to go, so I ride to a village, I enter the village. There's a whole menu on the left side. I can click on all that to quickly do things, or I can literally go into the village third person, walk around and do all those things. Same with battles. You join the battles. When you get enough tactics points, it lets you place your soldiers first. You ride around in the battles with them. You can direct your army and all that sort of stuff. I hit F6, which says listen to your sergeants, and the AI that's on your side basically does everything for you. And then sometimes I'll just be like, oh fuck it, charge and stuff like that. And then I just ride around with a giant pole arm and just ride past people and stab them in the face. Because in the original Mount and Blade, you could just couch your lance and ride past people and kill them. And you were like unstoppable. And they've kind of fixed it in this game where you're not unstoppable, but you can still kind of do it. And then it's the same thing with sieges, defending and attacking. You were climbing up those walls. You were doing all that sort of stuff. The combat is it's not quite as complicated as like Chivalry, but it is look this way to strike that way, to strike down, to strike to the side, block. It's that sort of fighting. If you're in a group of guys and you're trying to swing, you're not going to complete your swing because you're going to hit the guy next to you. So you want to do like an overarm attack to like hit the guys in front of you. So it's very that sort of combat. There's a great tutorial that teaches you every aspect of combat, from horse riding, shooting arrows, to shooting crossbows, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's the basic gameplay. Thank you for asking that question, because I realize not a lot of people know. It's been that way for a long time in Mount and Blade, and I think this is literally the best version of that. It is just super fun. You can also just send your troops to fight for you, and they'll fight for you, and it'll give you an accurate representation as it's happening, or you can fast forward the battle, or you can retreat during the battle as it's happening. And there's different stuff like that. You're also leveling up your character throughout the game. You get these, so you're like normal learning multiplier is like 1, and then as you get focus points, you can put them into things to make the multiplier higher. So the more you do it, the faster you're like upgrading it, which is, it was genuinely really nice, because you're like, you start off with all these focus points and you're like, I don't know what I'm good at yet. And then once you realize like what you're doing, you can like place those accordingly. And then finally you have a clan who are your immediate people. So I think I'm the 7 Strings clan, which I named us. And then like I have a brother and a sister, and I think they have some kids. So like when they come of age, I'll like choose their skills and stuff.
They're going to say their spouses.
No, I think I can. I think I am the patriarch. But you can like assign, like my brother is the governor of one of my cities. You can like assign all that stuff out. And
so just full on nepotism.
Hell yeah, nepotism rules, and I'm sick of people thinking it doesn't. Especially medieval times. But it's super fun. I love Mount and Blade. It's very relaxing. It's like constantly saving the game. Everything is always pausing. There's no, I mean, other than when you're actively in battle, there's no rush to really do anything. It's just fun and exciting. It is a little repetitious. I wish it had more stuff to it, because basically everything comes down to you're just fighting other people for territory. But at
is
the
there
end of the day,
is there an end game? Is it?
There is. So like the main story is you find this dragon banner, and then you either have to destroy the empires. So the setup before this was there was a giant empire and it lost, and that empire divided into 3 empires: the northern, southern, and western. Each leader of those declaring themselves emperor for a different reason. And then there's all like the Valandians, the Sturgians, the Kurgits, which are like the Genghis Khan sort of thing. They do a neat job of like representing basically all of Europe and Asia in like these different types of people, cultures. And then, so yeah, the goal of the game is to choose a side and either reunite the empire into one empire, or destroy all the empires and have everyone be different states. I've read on the like wiki and stuff, or the subreddit, where it's basically like it always becomes like your giant empire against 3 other empires, and not a lot of people make it to the end game. But right now it's fun. It's I could declare my own empire, but then I'm against everyone. So right now I'm just working with this one Valandia, seeing how far we can get, if we can destroy the other empires, and then kind of move on. And it's nice to give you that choice.
I mean, I'm looking at some gameplay on YouTube, and it seems pretty cool. Like there's some really big battles going on.
I was gonna
like,
comment on that. Yeah,
like a ton of sprites and NPCs on screen at one time. It's actually really impressive.
I think you can have 500 is the limit. In the
Wow.
original game, it was 100, and then you can mod it to be 200, but it would crash all the time. I don't know if there's mods for this one. I mean, there's tons of mods for this game. I don't know if there's a specific mod. With most games, I tell myself when I start getting bored is when I look into mods.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten there yet, but hoping for a nude mod because you just gotta get those in.
You gotta have,
you
You
gotta
have
get it.
like,
Yeah.
what is it? What is it all for if not for that? But yeah, I'm having a blast with it. It's a great like, hey, I'm drinking or I'm doing whatever, and I'm putting a podcast on and playing some.
So you're playing right now, filming this.
Yeah,
podcast.
I'm literally playing right now. Yeah.
in the background.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
If I would, if I could, I would.
I think it sounds awesome. It looks cool, so I might actually have to check this out. But you saved the best game, I hope, for last. So can you tell us a little bit about this mysterious titled game that a lot of people are probably playing?
Yes, Super Mario World. I don't know if you've heard of it. It is from 1992.
So
Whatever year.
it's a little developer called Nintendo.
Yeah,
right?
Nintendo. They
Yeah.
used to make playing cards
Yeah,
back
I
in the
think I have some.
1800s.
Yeah.
No, I forget how this came up. I actually definitely remember how this came up. I was playing Donkey Kong Country, as one does in the year 2023. I grew up on Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, one of my favorite puns of all time. And I was like, oh, let me play the first Donkey Kong Country. And after cursing and screaming at one of the levels and generally being upset about it, I said, let me play some Super Mario World. So I played I think I went through 2 worlds of Super Mario World. I was like, this game's great. I love Super Mario World. And then the next day, Karen was like, I really want to play Super Mario World. And I was like, I've been playing that, right? She's like, no, I had no idea. So I set her up with Super Mario World Advanced 2 on the Analog Pocket, which she actually switched to one of my modded Game Boys to play on the Game Boy Advance. So she's also been playing Super Mario World, which is funny. Super Mario World on the Game Boy has a bunch of awesome things like being able to quit out of levels while you're playing it. So she has this weird stuff that is super helpful. Like you can look ahead in the level and move the camera and stuff. And then I'm on the Switch playing the original game, so I can't do any of that shit, but I can save and load states. So
and rewind
and rewind. So there's a little bit of competition now where it's I'm a little bit above, but you also have a lot of stuff too. So it's been fun. I forget how great that game is, how many secrets there are. It wasn't until I was an adult that I knew about the keys and the keyholes and finding the secret areas and the switches and all that sort of stuff. So doing that as an adult and vaguely remembering where things were and being oh yeah, let me check this here, and finding out you're right. You're like, yes. So super fun. I love Super Mario World. It's a fantastic game. I have heard through the grapevine that the new Super Mario Wonder might be the best 2D Mario game since Super Mario World 2, which is Yoshi's Island, which is also a great game that I barely played that game, so I no comment. But I was 50-50 between that and Spider-Man. I have Spider-Man, so we know where that went. But I will hopefully check out Wonder before the end of the year. But
it might be the only Mario game that I've bought since Odyssey that I'm actively looking forward to. I honestly have not played many Mario games since I was a kid, and then Odyssey came out, and I was like, I gotta get Odyssey, and I loved it. It was great.
Odyssey's great.
But it was pretty much Mario N64 and some of the Super Nintendo Marios, and that was it. Because I never had a Nintendo console growing up, so it's all kind of I knew Mario. I'd played some of his games, but I wasn't super into it. Now I love Mario, and I'm if they're putting out what people are saying is the next best 2D or side-scrolling Mario game, then I want to play it. So I think I might have to grab it. And Ian posted that you could get what is it? You can get like the shop game credit from Nintendo
Oh,
for
yeah.
like you can basically get 2 games for
So
$80 or something.
you can for $90 at wherever you can get two $50 Nintendo eShop gift cards, and then that makes $100 for us math fanatics out there. And for $100, you can purchase the 2-game voucher from Nintendo, and then use that for 2 games. So you're basically buying 2 full games, which would be around $120 to $140 for what you're saying, $90,
$20 to $40. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
It's what I did with Metroid Prime and Tears of the Kingdom. So
Nice.
I highly recommend it. I believe if you have Costco membership, they do this deal. The deal's currently active, like as a normal thing. So anytime you want to buy something off the eShop, especially if it's 2 games in that voucher, definitely, if you're willing to spend the $90, definitely do that. And you can buy games that are in the future. I think they update that every so often. I did want to read, Kyle, because you mentioned it. This lovely review by my coworker Steve Watts for OneGameSpot.com. This line from his review, which I really like, is, quote, "It's after years of 2D game languishing in understudy status that Super Mario Bros. Wonder takes center stage, and it delivers such a knockout performance that it makes the argument, implicit or otherwise, that 2D Mario games can be just as vital to the medium as their 3D siblings." And that is the phrase that excited me enough to buy this game, because for years I've been excited about 3D Mario and not excited about 2D Mario. And now I think I'm genuinely excited to play it. Especially look at that Mario trunk and these Elephant Mario. It's just like, whew, big slurper.
Getting all those furries excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the type of game where, and I know that a lot of people throw this kind of sentence around when talking about Nintendo first party games, but it looks like the developers are having fun, like genuinely enjoying creating new ways of different iterations of puzzles, of how they can play with the characters, what they can do with the worlds, and how that affects gameplay. And it just, I remember seeing the first trailer being like, these people are on LSD and I kind of love it. Like I kind of dig what they're going for. So I'm not gonna lie, I just bought it on Amazon because I love my physical copies.
Hells
so
yeah.
I'm gonna play it. I don't know if it'll get here tomorrow, but I'm unemployed at the moment, so I can actually sink time into like playing video games that I want to play. So
Hells yeah.
yeah. Great.
I'm not unemployed, but I definitely don't plan on playing Spider-Man all day tomorrow.
Yes, if your boss calls me, or what was his name, Mike, who wrote that review, he'll be like,
"Oh, Steve,
Steve, why isn't Will working today?" Sorry,
I'm the CEO of GameSpot, so
that's what I figured.
According to Halucha,
according to Halucha.
It's not actually true, but if we're going by Halucha's word, which is sacred text.
Yeah.
I'm going to just skip the news because there's not anything incredible here.
Microsoft was Microsoft, and they bought something for a lot of money. That's it.
Yeah. And Best Buy and Walmart are both rumored to stop selling physical media, which is great. Love it.
Sad.
I just bought the 4K edition of Van Helsing, so suck it.
I also just bought that because I saw you bought it. I didn't realize that it was out on 4K. So I was like, I'm just gonna get this.
It's a meme at work because I said Van Helsing was a better movie than The Green Knight, which I do actually agree with, but not enjoyment wise, I enjoy Van Helsing more than it's not a better film though, to be perfectly clear. Although there's one certain scene that really turned me off of The Green Knight. But anyways, it's a joke at work that I hate The Green Knight.
Was it the kissing scene? You didn't like the kissing scene?
I mean, it's what happens after kissing. But I will say I was like, oh, I wonder if there's a 4K of Van Helsing. And there was. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. And I ordered it, and it was like, it'll be here in November. And then it was like, it'll be here tomorrow. I was like, oh.
I love that.
Meanwhile, there's no 4K of Master and Commander, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with the world? So it doesn't matter.
And now you can watch Van Helsing in 4K during spooky month, so you're set.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's the perfect Halloween movie. It's great. It's got the best werewolves. It's got the most camp version of Dracula ever, and he's great.
He's so good. And it's got almost naked women in it. Because I remember being like, oh, they're like essentially naked.
They don't have any nipples. It
was the Mystique. The Mystique, no nipples. And you're just like, that's still hot though. Like, okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I was more into Hugh Jackman, but
I mean, who isn't into Hugh Jackman?
Yeah,
I wanted Mr. Jekyll to crush me. Anyways, excited about Van Helsing. It'll be a good time. But speaking of the 4K version of Master and Commander, this week's wish list spotlight, I'd be remiss if I didn't do it because Jake would hunt me down and kill me, and he would blame it on Ian. This game is called Rise of Piracy, put out by the Microprose software as the publisher. Microprose, big in the 90s for a lot of their games. They are back now as a publisher. I don't remember the exact circumstances of that, so don't quiz me. But Rise of Piracy is a perfect blend of action, adventure, and RTS. Begin your journey as a lowly captain of a small vessel, end as the commander of a threatening fleet. Rise to glory, how you see fit, trade, fight, recruit, grow, pillage, ally, destroy, and conquer. Right there on the Steam page. I have been looking for a good like ship combat, Saily Boy game ever since I was reading some of the Master and Commander novels. And Kyle has oh no, pinata down?
Mochi broke my Lego pinata.
No!
Mochi took it down.
God. Bastard. Sorry. Anyways, I played a lot of Sea Dogs as a kid, and this kind of looks like a newer version of that, even though you're not playing one guy. They just have a tagline that says, "Become the threat," and that's just dirty.
I just assumed this was Skull and Bones had finally released, and this was what it was. That's what I thought.
Honestly, we talked about it earlier. This looks like Mountain Blade, but on the oceans.
It's very similar, map. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's what it is. I will play the hell out of this game. Boats are cool, especially these kind. So definitely go check that out. Wishlist it on Steam. There's no current release date. It does say early access, so it should be releasing in early access at some point in the future. There's a Discord link as well. I'm excited for it. Get excited.
I definitely thought that bullet point was just about.
I also thought it was about the rise of piracy on Steam.
Like, wow,
like the way you read it, where I was like, how are people pirating games on Steam? Like, normally you do that with torrents. I was very confused.
It really says rise of piracy on Steam. That's genuinely really funny. Oh, shit. That's hilarious.
I'm glad I was not the only one who thought that, because I was like, I'm not going to say anything if it's actually a game, but it's really funny.
I couldn't wait till we got to that one. I was like so curious.
How does one pirate games on Steam? I'd like to know this.
Good on you guys for not clicking the link.
Yeah, I'll click links out here.
That's so funny. Holy shit. Oh, that's great. Please clip that, Halucha. Folks.
Also, clip Will saying, you said something about, I forget what you said, but it was really funny. The last point that we were talking about before Rise of Piracy, you had like one sentence at the end, and it was really funny. I'm gonna put it in the new stream intro.
Oh, perfect. Great. Clip that, Halucha. Find that one sentence.
Find that one sentence, Halucha.
You can do more than just kiss. It's possible, folks. I'm gonna hit the outro music, and then we're gonna get the heck out of here. Fuck yeah, folks. This has been the lovely and wonderful Local Chat starring Jimmie. Jimmie, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm mostly on Instagram, ProNinja7. Used to do Twitch, but not so much anymore.
Gotcha. Thank you for being here. And Kyle, people can find you on Twitter at Kyle of the Beard. People can find me on Twitter at Hunt270. I almost said at Think Gibson. That is not me. That is a cruel man. At subpixelfilms.com is where you can find all of our cool stuff. That'll bring you to our link tree where you can buy merch. You can go to the Twitch. You can go to our Twitter. You can join our Discord and hang out with all the cool people there. We'll be back this weekend with Spooky Pixel. Until then, bye.
Bye.
Bye.